morning, everybody. We're very blessed to be standing here today, being able to fulfill an undertaking we made at our bat mitzvahs to give a gift to our community and at the same time honor the memories and the neshama of our great-grandparents.
We would like to thank our parents for their help and guidance in getting this done. Thank you, Rabbi Mendel, for all your guidance and input and much correspondence back and forth with the lady in Israel who made this beautiful parochet.
Whilst we did not have the privilege of knowing our great-grandparents in person, we recognize the instrumental part they played in the lives of our grandparents and parents, and thus indirectly affected who we are today.
We've heard many stories of these 12 people and the type of people they are. A common thread amongst them all was three main aspects: their love for their family, their love for Yiddishkeit, and their love for Israel. Some were born in South Africa and others in Europe, Lithuania, and Latvia. They were grateful to have had the opportunity to live their lives and raise their families in South Africa, where they could instill the traditions that were passed on to them, and some of which we still continue today. Each in their own way made a point to give back to their communities.
The design of the parochet was chosen as a tree representing growth, strength, and life, all key aspects to our wonderful community. It chose the roots so as to depict the importance of where we come from, and as the verses at the top states,
It is a tree of life for those who hold fast to it, and those who uphold it are happy. Its ways are pleasant, and all of its paths peaceful. Return us to you, God, so that we shall return. Renew our days as of old.
When planning for today, we were unaware that just yesterday we were reading in Shul about the building of the tabernacle and how Bnei Israel all band together to bring things to help build the Mishkan. We also read in the Haftarah of King Yosha, which we have been advised is where our great-grandfather Havis' name originates from, who Dani and I are named after.
We also commemorated our great-grandmother, Granny Gitti's 31st yahrzeit. So it seems quite fitting that we should close out the weekend with this ceremony.
May the neshama of Yehuda ben Shimon Halevi, and Shena bat Shlomo Halevi,
Avraham ben Yitzchak, Fagel bat Zizel,
Havis ben Isser HaKohen,
Rachel Gittel bat Moshe Yisrael,
Menashe ben Yisrael,
Gittel bat Shmer Yahu, Shabtai ben Tzvi, Malka bat Dovber, Yerachmiel Chaim ben Yeshua Hesel, Malka bat Dovber.
all have an aliyah.
Amen. The girl said, here's a verse, it's time you look at the bugs and come over their hearts. That the Torah is a tree of life for those who grab it. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, its roots are peace. Return to us, God, and we will turn to you like days of old. And if you notice the tree, this is a beautiful tree, and the tree theme is found throughout the other pieces. And here you have the word embedded in the tree root, Eitz Chaim. If you look closely, it's a tree of life. And the names of all the great-grandparents that were just mentioned are on the bottom here. And I just want to make sure everyone sees that. In their true humility, we have the names. We do have the names of the girls that dedicated on the back. They don't want it on the front. So that's very beautiful. And I'll bring the computer later closer. Thank you, girls. It should be an everlasting merit for their souls, of our loved ones, and really a merit for our entire community. It's my pleasure now to ask my father, representing the Mandel and Harari families who donated the art that's behind here. Just have to put handles on still. Will come, along with many other things. But when I asked my parents if they would be interested in participating, they said yes right away. My beloved grandfather, my mother's father, passed away. The first yahrzeit is coming up in 2 months. Gimel Nisan, 3rd of Nisan, so very soon. And I'm not going to take time to talk about him. It will take too long, but certainly this is a fitting memorial and a tribute to him and his love of Judaism, his passion for Judaism, a real Sabra, a real Israeli who came to America with very little and really built himself up, but built a community and built his family and raised a wonderful Jewish family. And to represent the Harari family and the Mandel family, my parents who generously sponsored this beautiful cover in memory of my grandmother, my father's mother, the Aron Kodesh in memory of my mother's father. My pleasure and my honor to ask my father, Rabbi Mandel, to say a few words.
Thank you, Lisha. Are all these people in South Africa here?
South Africa, Israel.
How's it? What an honor it is to just be here with these three young ladies who have captured the essence of what it means to be a Jew. Because these past few Paroshet that we've been reading about the Mishkan, the building of the tabernacle in the desert, and the constant theme is that the Jewish people were nadiv libo, they gave from their heart. They brought all the things needed to build the Mishkan, and it was motivated by their love of the Almighty and of Torah. And if you look at the Torah itself, which is really what the Ark is for, is just to hold the Torah. If you could define the Torah in one word, it would be chesed. It would be an act of giving. Because the Midrash tells us that the Torah begins with chesed, it's in the middle of the Torah is chesed, and at the end of the Torah is chesed. How does it begin with chesed? Because the Almighty creates a world for us. The greatest act there is of giving. What's the middle? The middle is when Abraham greets the three angels and takes care of them, and greets them into his home. And the end of the Torah is Moshe passes away, and the Almighty buries him as the final act of chesed. The Torah is about giving. And to become a Jewish person, a full member of the tribe, which is what happens when you're a bat mitzvah or a bar mitzvah, it means that you understand, I've got to be a giver. And I think the fact that the girls captured the essence of what it means to be a Jew through donating and dedicating this Parochet is just something extraordinary. And girls, the Almighty should bless you with the strength and means to continue to give. It's the greatest pleasure there is, and it's the way we change the world. Just want to say about my father-in-law, how appropriate it is that that these girls are giving, because he was a master giver. His father, he would constantly talk about his father as somebody who gave tzedakah b'seiter, quietly, modestly, without anybody knowing about it. And he took incredible pride in the fact that was his father's essence. And he took that on for himself. He was a person of great generosity, such a big heart. And the fact that this ark is dedicated to him, that holds the Torah, which is a Torah of giving, is very appropriate. But I think the other thing that connects my father-in-law and here my mother as well with these young ladies is the fact that the Torah talks about the ark. That how was the ark made? It was made with a gold box in the inner gold box, a wooden gold box surrounding that, and then another gold box. And the Torah teaches us that what's the significance of these three boxes? That the middle box, the wooden box, is what the girls wanted here. Eitz Chaim Hi, a growing tree. Wood represents growth. The inner gold box and the outer gold box represents a person's character. That what they are on the outside is in fact what they are on the inside. So, and that at the same time that you're always consistent in who you are internally and externally, but you're always growing. That wooden box is always there growing. That was my father-in-law, and that was my mother-in-law. My mother, right? Well, halachically, there are similarities. The fact that the wood was there they were people of growing. My father-in-law, always learning, and my mother, the same thing, always growing, always learning. And they were absolutely consistent. Who they were on the outside was what they were on the inside. We give a bracha that in memory of my mother and my father-in-law, that these young ladies should always continue to grow in Torah Most important, they should know who they are on the inside, and that should be seen by everybody on the outside. Gold and gold. Mazel tov.
Okay, thank you, Abba. So as my father said, it is very appropriate. These three pieces came an hour before Shabbat from Israel. And as I was walking downstairs and just putting them on quickly before Shabbos, I realized, as my father just said, this week's Torah portion that we did yesterday in the Shul is all about the fashioning of the vessels of the tabernacle and the embroidery of the curtains. And the Torah spends a lot of detail talking about these physical objects, which is strange if you're thinking about the purpose of Torah. And the idea, of course, is that the only way to become a kehila, a community, as the Torah begins in yesterday's Torah portion, Vayakel Moshe, that Moshe gathered, he made an assembly, he made a kehila, he made a congregation of Jews, is because he was able to take all these very physical elements, elevate it, and make it beautiful for the sake of growth, for the sake of a legacy, for the sake of a mitzvah. That's how the Jewish people act. By taking things that are physical, some thread, some stitching, some colors, silver, turquoise, colors that I didn't really understand, and Jody tried educating me with little success, I think. But to take all these elements and use our physical gifts to elevate it is the entire purpose of the Jewish people, our entire purpose on earth, and it's Vayakel Moshe. It's how Moses made a congregation and an assembly of the Jewish people. It's also why Yosef in the Bible is the only one that's given the appellation of tzaddik. The only one who's called a righteous person in all of biblical literature is Joseph, because he had this midah. He was able to take the physical, and of course we know the Torah talks about how beautiful he was. He was able to take the physical and elevate it to a point of great spirituality. So this is perfectly in line with the Parsha. It's perfectly in line with what the Jewish people's mission is. It's perfectly in line with the Cohens and Kerbels and all of you out there, people who take the gifts that the Almighty gave them to elevate themselves, their families, and their communities. And the Thornhill Shul community is very grateful and very blessed to have them amongst us and to constantly inspire us with this lesson. Just a few brief thank yous. First and foremost, special thanks to Jody. I'm not sure you are WhatsApp, but it's been quite a journey, and I've learned a lot of things like what colors are. But it's been a pleasure working with you and the partnership and the ideas and the patience, and really it's been a lot of work. It really has been a lot of work, and it was all worth it. Thank you very much, Jody. We owe her a debt of gratitude. Thank you to the Kerbels and Cohens for your generosity, as always, not just for this and this morning, but for everything you do for the community. It means a lot to Frady, myself, and in the Shul. Thank you to the girls. Thank you to the girls for, again, your vision, your inspiration. You take after your parents in every way possible, and we're very proud of you. Really are. Should be a merit for all the souls. All the neshamas should have really an incredible elevation every time we use this beautiful, I want to call it a piece of art. It is a piece of art, but it's truly a fulfillment of the verse when the Jewish people crossed the Red Sea, which also just recently happened in the Torah portion. The Medrash tells us that they crossed on dry water, the water split, and they said, Zeh keli v'anvehu, which means this is my God and I will glorify him. And the word Zeh, this, the rabbis tell us that the Jewish people actually pointed, this is my God and I will glorify him. They had some perception of the divine, and they were able to even to the point where they can point and say, this is my God and I will glorify him. So our blessing for the community, for all of you, is that we can point to this and say, Zeh keli v'anvehu, this is my God, this is my Torah, this is my Eitz Chaim. This is what I live for, and I will glorify it now and forever until the coming of the Mashiach, the Mehera B'Yameinu. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all. And thank you all for coming. Thank you all for joining us from South Africa, from Israel, from Thornhill Woods, and London, England. Hi, Harley. Where else? Thornhill. I said that. Australia. Thank you so much. We should have only symptoms and blessing. Does anyone else want to say anything?
Rabbi Mandel, Mrs. Mandel, Mrs. Mandel, honored guests,
wonderful children. I think I've said it all. Thank you for having managed to get this together before we fly out. This is an incredible recognition of some amazing people. They are the roots of what we have here. They are the people on whom their ethics, their integrity, their love for each other, for their children, some of them who don't even know their grandchildren, but all of whom were involved in Yiddishkeit, I'm sure are climbing a lot of laches today, witnessing from above what you children have done. If you will forgive me and allow me, as a Kohen, Hashem Pitet, Yevrecha Adonai V'Yishprecha, Erodna B'Navelecha B'Chneka, Yisad B'Navelecha, V'Yasem B'Cha Shalom.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Beautiful. I want to conclude with one more blessing. I meant to mention this earlier on the Bima cover, which is over there, and I'll bring the computer there in a second as well. Thank you very much to Rabbi and Rebbetzin Sitzer who donated the Bima cover. I was, it's like I'm just admitting someone. There was I wanted to put a pasuk, a version of the Torah on the Bima cover, and I was struggling to come up with something that really hit me. I had one idea, and then I was going to go with that, and I discarded it, and I called my rabbi here, Rabbi Louie, in Toronto, and I asked him what verse, we have this beautiful opportunity, what verse would be appropriate to inspire everyone. It has to be short because we don't have a lot of room, and every letter costs another $2, et cetera, et cetera. and he said, let me think about it. And the next day he called me back and said, you should write the verse after the Jewish people left Egypt, which again just recently happened. The verse that's written there, and I will carry you on eagle's wings. May it come true. May we all be born on eagle's wings back to our home, to Jerusalem, in the Holy Land of Maine. Thank you very much for joining, and have a great day. Just wait for the camera.
So for those of you that are interested, I'm going to show the Parochet up real close.
And go down
Yeah.
to the bottom.
So
Okay. Can we eat now? Is it time to eat?
you can all spot the names of your grandparents.
I want to thank Chana Gamliel, the very talented and incredible lady who designed all these pieces, who was an incredible pleasure to work with, a really special person who uses her talents, as I said, Zakili Van Veyu. She was incredible to work with, patient, kind, very understanding, immediately understood what we wanted, and has done an incredible job and was very patient throughout the process. Thank you, Chana. And thanks again to my parents who donated the Chazin's cover. I didn't forget anyone, and if I did, please forgive me. And here's
Special.